You said late night coffee hour with the coaches. That's what's up.
Coffee with the coaches, late night coffee hour.
Well, I
You
think this
know,
is kind of the best time for us to do our recaps because we're going to do our recap of multipliers just for everybody that wasn't able to take part in the Wednesday discussion about it. So, what we're going to do is the live streams will not be recorded because a lot of things that happen with the live streams, people are making themselves vulnerable. And I want to keep that to be a safe space. But what me and Ryan will do is do a breakdown of the slideshow with some of our inputs. And we're going to talk about the key inputs and, the concepts. So we're going to start with multipliers, but this is going to be real laid back. Me and Ryan are just going to communicate like we usually communicate. We're actually messing up already. It's supposed to be late night coffee, but I just got water, man.
and I just chugged some electrolytes.
I mean, it's 11:15 at night. I'm not drinking more coffee. I mean, I'm not already not going to go to bed for another hour or so.
That's why you need decaf, my friend.
Decaf is so lame. That's like buying a Ferrari or something, and you say, "Yeah, I'm getting the hybrid version, so it gets better gas mileage." It's like, no, man, give me the real coffee. But all
Well,
right,
then don't complain about it, bro. Don't complain about it if that's the case, man.
oh, I'm not.
You,
Uh,
yeah, get your wife to put you some Turkish coffee and just chug it. What are you afraid of, man? Just chug
no,
it.
no, no, no. I found out the hard way. You guys in that Turkish coffee. You remember? I was awake for 2 days. I'm a, I already have like the hypomanic thing where I don't sleep a lot because I love to work. But the Turkish
Yeah.
coffee had me on some like, do I got to go to the ER? Like, I need to sleep.
You know
But
what's funny is because like in our culture, like my mom and I will have tea or even Turkish coffee like after dinner and then go straight to sleep. It's just what we do.
yeah, you're built different, man. You're built different. But let's start off the slideshow. Let's knock this out because we can't be here until midnight.
Absolutely. You want me to share it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share it.
Sweet. 1 second.
Yo, I'm the one that usually takes forever with the technology. I'm enjoying this, man.
You'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's.
Wow, Terrance cutting me out of the photo already. Love you,
Oh, you're
bro.
in the background somewhere. I'm just gonna gaslight you.
Makes sense. Talking bad about me when I'm not there. It's all
Okay.
good.
All right. So let's get right to it. So multipliers, how the best leaders make everyone smart.
Yep.
So just real quickly, I think this is a really good book to start identifying high level people and high quality people. And these individuals, you can find them in business, you can find them in professional arenas, but you can also find them just around at coffee shops, any group setting. There will often be one or two multipliers. And these are the individuals that help solve problems, that help bring people together, people that others rely on. And you can go ahead and take it from here.
Yep. Before getting into a lot of that, I wanted to say something real quick, which is there are three types of people. Really, there are two types with three different outcomes. The people who do nothing, they sit back passively in life and they go with the flow. And the people who try and do something. And with the people who try and do something, they end up either multipliers or diminishers. So we've got to already understand if we're here to talk about improving our life, we've got to be somebody who does something.
Yeah.
And when we get to doing something, we're going to be multiplier or diminisher. So you talked about multipliers. Diminishers are people who tend to drain the energy or intelligence of people and not allow the full capability of people to really shine. So they tend to step on other people. And to be honest, sometimes it's not intentional. We'll talk about that later at the end of the slideshow. There are ways that we can be unintentional with it, but really, diminishers are trying to put themselves forward by putting other people down, where multipliers understand that even if they can do something, they are still willing to let the wealth of experience and knowledge and strengths in other people play well together, so that where that one person might have been able to do it with 3 or 4 people, you can do 3 or 4 times the amount of good work.
Completely. Yep.
Multipliers. So this isn't just something that happens in one setting. This is somebody who takes small steps of leadership or supporting others naturally in everything that they do. Terrance, would you want to add to that?
Yeah. It's one of those things with so many companies. They bring in like highly paid consultants. And, I've done a lot of consulting before. Y- A lot of managers think they need to spend more money to get more results. And a lot of it is just people are not utilizing their teams. They're not utilizing their manpower. They're not utilizing the collective knowledge and abilities, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, the KSAs of the employees. And that's why you want to work smarter and more
Yep.
capable over time. And
So I'm going to give an example because I used to run the largest sports club at my university.
mhm,
And originally, it was started by a man who had all the knowledge and just wanted to teach it. And so we had 18 people show up regularly. And when I took over, we got to over 80 or 90 people coming a week, with well over 120 that were coming in and out. And the way that I did that with the same amount of people, the same number of officers, is by realizing each one of their strengths and then asking them to play to that, even if it didn't fall under their strict definition of what their job was. So I had somebody who was a history major who loved doing research and wanted to learn how to teach. So I put him on that. Our treasurer was a graphic designer, so I had them help with the lesson plans and the marketing, right?
yep,
And then we had another graphic designer that was better at social media, and I was better at being a runner to do anything that fell through the cracks. And then I led the group every week, and it only cost me 6 hours a week.
nice.
And when you play to people's strengths and you allow them to shine, we could now afford to have 3 or 4 practices a week instead of 1 or 2, and hold over 100 people rather than only 20. And people, when they recognize that and that warmth and that availability and that fun, we got even more students flocking in.
Perfect. Perfect.
So multipliers promote the people around them. They promote their friends. They promote their team. If they're a manager, they promote those who report to them. Whether diminishers tend to focus mostly on promoting themselves. And something I can say for certain, like even David Goggins in his book has 5 pages or so on acknowledgement of others.
Exactly.
No person who has become great has said that they've done it completely on their own. Yes, there's been work and effort needed, but they have always had people help them. And diminishers tend to think that it is only up to them and there's the only thing they can do, and they can't rely on anyone or anything else, and no one has ever helped them. And so they tend to diminish the ability of people around them because they're so short-sighted.
Exactly. I'm just going to add David Goggins. If you don't know who that is, he's extremely popular in a lot of male circles. He's a former U.S. Navy SEAL, New York Times best-selling author, and does a lot of motivational speaking. He owns a lot of records, like the amount most push-ups done in like 24 hours. He does a whole lot of marathons. But even
Mm,
somebody that is as capable of as him constantly talks about the other people that helped him become successful. It's just
yep.
like if you ask me, like, how did I get good at criminal profiling? I had great mentors.
Mm-hmm.
People sat me down and taught me this is how you hunt a predatory person. And the individuals that go out there and say, I'm self-made, I did everything myself, that's often hiding severe insecurities because
Mm-hmm.
they know they didn't really do it themselves. they know that often they were put in those positions by other people, maybe friends, family, or whatever, that they didn't really deserve. And they stood on the shoulders of brilliant individuals and didn't give them credit. That's what kills me so much about being an avid reader is so many popular books are blatant ripoffs of books that were written 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. And there's no acknowledgments. And they're just hoping that the general public won't do their due diligence and search and learn more about the topics. But yeah, let's go ahead and knock this out so we're not here an hour because me and you, Ryan, we could talk all day about this.
Sounds good. So this is covering the first couple of chapters, right? If I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
absolutely.
Yeah. So in essence, 5 disciplines of a multiplier that we can work on or be more aware of in others around us are talent magnet, liberator, challenger, debate maker, and investor. So we're going to talk just briefly, quickly about each one. A talent magnet is somebody that attracts and develops the people around them, which means that somebody who has a talent wants to be able to produce and shine. A lot of people with talents want to be able to use it. For instance, great singers, people who may want to go sing for their local church. Musicians may want to go put on certain events. People who can lift a lot of weight, right? And have a lot of time and want to help a community may do community service. But it goes beyond community service and volunteering. Great engineers want to make great products. Great leaders want to lead great opportunities. And the thing with these people is each one of them is looking for an opportunity. And most often they fall into the opportunities that are welcoming them. So when we attract people with talent, when we are open, we are warm, and we give them something of value. But most often, we get rid of people with talent and we don't develop them because we are too critical or judgmental of them and we have opinions way too quickly. We don't prop them up. You want to talk about Liberator?
Yeah, yeah. So liberators, they create a safe yet challenging environment. Perfect example of this is what it means to be a good parent. I saw this a lot when I specialized in crimes against children, is parents have to be so careful. They
Mm-hmm.
have to pay so close attention to their children. But with that, there needs to be a safe space for the child to be honest about their failures. Because
Mm-hmm.
what often happens is kids have so many issues and challenges that are happening in their life, but they're afraid to bring it to their parents' attention. So
Mm-hmm.
who do they bring that information to? They bring it to their friends, or even worse, they go get advice from social media.
Yep.
So it's one of those things. If your children are not bringing their problems to you, they're bringing their problems to somebody else, not you. Something to always remember. And I'm just going to flow through some of these real quick.
Yep.
The challenger, stretching teams to go beyond their limits. Perfect example of a challenger is when we're in the gym, when men are in the gym with their friends,
Yes.
and, I might say, hey, I can only lift 225 pounds. That's my limit. But then your friend is going to help you go beyond that limit. He might sneak and put an extra 10 or 20 pounds on. And then it's like, oh, I can't lift this. Like, come on, man, you're just being weak. You're stronger than this. I believe in the part of you that believes that you're stronger than this. And then he lifts it. And then afterward, you say, you know what? I thought you could only do 225. You just did 250.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you need because endurance is a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And is the more you push it, the farther you can go. Like our limits often hit us when we reach discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole nother level past discomfort that a lot of individuals just they've never taken their life to. They've never taken their body to. They've never taken their mind to. But we look throughout human history, the human body, the human mind is way more durable than we give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely. And that takes us into debate maker. Challenging is stretching people to go beyond their limits, maybe physically. But debate maker, when we're talking about encouraging productive discussions, really is taking people's mindset and rooting it back in the ground, taking it out of the clouds and saying, but is this really what we should be doing? Or that's a great idea. Can you take it further than that? So the entire time we are spending with each other, when we're saying productive, we're not wasting our time. We're pushing each other. We're challenging each other. We're adding to it. And we're doing it with excitement, not to put other people down, to say, I know you can think better than that. I know there's even a better use for your product than what you're thinking. Come on, give me another example. Come on, what's another way we can get this done? And so, not debating in the sense of trying to prove somebody wrong, but more like a discussion sense. Let's uncover something greater that we haven't realized yet, because I know we can. And that gets us into investors. When we're talking about delegating and trusting others to take ownership, when somebody trusts you and says, not only do I need to get this done, not only do I think you can do it, but I know that you can lead yourself in this part. There's another step to pushing somebody and saying, I believe that you can already do it and you're good enough, and I don't need to check in on you. And that does something that people don't realize and don't do often, is that it builds the self-esteem of the people around them.
1000%.
Got anything to add, Terrance?
Oh no, we can keep going.
Cool. Okay. So quickly, mindset of a diminisher in 3 key areas. They often believe that intelligence, good ideas are scarce and specifically concentrated, usually in themselves. Very self-centered. They think that other people are not possibly as good as them. And so they tend to take charge without really understanding what's going on. And therefore, they assume that they're the smartest person in the room. And because of that, they have to make all the decisions. And again, they're charging in without taking a chance to step back and think about it. And this leads to, if they're a manager, micromanagement, over control, and disempowering behavior. This happens a lot of the time when, it happens to me at work. I've got a micromanager as a boss. And a lot of the people in my company end up that way because they have a wealth of experience in our field. And a lot of the people under them, like me, may not have it, but that does not mean we don't have the ability to perform the tasks given to us. And so what ends up happening is there's an overbearing site because they believe that they have to do everything themselves rather than lead in a way and teach that experience. So when it comes to relationships, you want to take this slide, Terrance?
Yep, just real quick, here's an example of what diminishers look like in relationships. They micromanage and control decisions, making the other person feel incapable. They make the relationship about their needs, dismissing or minimizing their partner's feelings. They criticize and correct frequently, making the other person feel small. They seek to be the expert or the dominant voice in conversations. Creates dependency, making the other person feel like they need them. Uh, this is what the traditional conversation is like about somebody being a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
People use the word narcissist. I use diminisher a lot just because I, for me, the word narcissist is such a strong word if you've seen truly predatory people. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about somebody being selfish. I find that there's a large percent of the population who are selfish. They've never got over the fact that they're no longer 7 years old and the world doesn't reflect them. But these individuals do portray caringness and love and generosity to other people in their life. Maybe they take care of their nephew. They take care of their niece. They take care of their brother, they take care of their sister. They do all these other things for other people. And that's kind of violates the tenets of a basic real narcissist. Now, you have some narcissists that have a special connection with one or two individuals. That happens with some serial killers where they will actually, some of them actually stop engaging in serial crime when they have a daughter. It's not often a son, but when they have a daughter, it often, they will either not partake in violence as much or they might stop altogether. It's something about that parenting instinct starts to take over. But I digress. I'll start talking too much about this subject. So we're going to go right back into multiplier. So the people that we should be looking for in relationship, they encourage their partner slash friend to think for themselves and take ownership of their choices. Listens deeply and makes space for both perspective, fostering mutual respect. They celebrate strength and help build confidence. They value and amplify their partner's friends, thoughts, and ideas. Encourages independence and personal growth. So this is real easy. Diminishers think about themselves and what people aren't giving them. Multipliers think about other people and what they can give to others. Just real easy.
Yep. And just to give a quick example, a lot of people are either unhappy with their diet or their fitness level. Even people who are fit, they want to get stronger. And a lot of the time that struggle means sometimes we may have days where we're set back. A diminisher may talk to somebody and say, "Really? You couldn't get it done?" A multiplier says, "I'm so proud of where you're going and I know it's difficult. What can I do to help you? I'm so proud of you. It's okay." Like, keep looking towards the future. They're a kingmaker. They
Yep.
focus on the positive and use the positive to get people out of the negative rather than focusing on the negative, hoping that would bring positive.
1000%. One thing I want to bring up about multipliers is you can often find them by
Mhm.
asking, hey, if I have this issue, who should I call?
Absolutely.
Because it's the person that is known to solve the problems. But this creates a whole nother issue. Multipliers, aka high level individuals, are often extremely tired because people from all walks of life are often constantly trying to extract value from them because they're really good at providing value to others. But we'll talk about that in other events.
Absolutely. So, one thing that I had mentioned earlier that we're now getting to is being a diminisher isn't always intentionally malevolent. Sometimes it's just a bad habit that we've picked up from people around us. And being an unintentional diminisher can look like being too quick to give advice instead of helping somebody figure it out. So, inserting ourselves, thinking that we can help them and we will help them without really understanding or leading them. That includes stepping in and fixing their problems for them. This can unintentionally make people feel like they're not good enough or they're not smart enough, and that almost like you're like a parent who's shoving them aside and going, "You messed up and I got to fix this for you." And adults don't want to feel like they're being treated as children. You always take charge and don't let them contribute can be something that comes from a good place in our heart where we think we can help them and we want to get it done and we want them to get it done as quick as possible, but we end up stepping over them like completely. And like in a conversation, we don't even let them have the chance to say something to us because we just want to talk at them and talk at them and talk at them, hoping that it'll help them. And like I said earlier in that scenario about dieting and fitness and somebody who wanted to push that weight and couldn't make it that day and didn't do enough reps and might have quit early, you don't celebrate their achievements as much as you should. So a multiplier is not somebody who necessarily thinks about being perfect, but is mindful about how their attitude and their behavior impacts the people around them, especially the people they care about.
Exactly. One thing I want to also bring up is often multipliers And these high level individuals that are good at solving problems, they live very painful lives. And they live painful lives because the standard that they have for themselves is often remarkably high.
Mhm.
They're constantly looking at their failures while noticing the greatness that other people have. And it's it's often sad that these individuals that are responsible for giving so much benefit and joy to others, that they're often not celebrated. They're used as a resource. They don't, these are people that you often don't see get the recognition because they don't do things for the recognition. These are often the people that have amazing ideas, but their ideas are stolen by other individuals. And people stand on their achievements and claim them as their own. And the multiplier doesn't really care. They're just trying to do good things.
But
And
that's why multipliers marry multipliers, because
1000%.
there is no better support system to somebody who truly helps the people around them than somebody who helps them do that even better and helps support them with all the struggles that come with it. Anyone else that diminishes that ability is a nightmare to a multiplier.
Yep. And see, a lot of what we're talking about in this group is is really profiling individuals for these types of traits.
Mhm.
Something that comes up, and I've been getting a ton of emails about this. And this is everything I give is just advice. It's just advice based on my professional career, based on the knowledge that I've garnered investigating and talking to so many individuals, individuals that are living fantastic lives, and individuals that saying their life reflects a dumpster fire would be insulting to dumpsters. What I'm what I really want to hit home is people need to be very selective with the friends they make, with the people they enter that they allow to enter into their life, with the conversations we have with others, divulging information. My argument at all is always this: you're better off waiting for the right people than just inviting anyone. Even if that means you're only dealing with one out of 1,000. That one out of 1,000 individual will provide so much more of a beneficial experience and relationship with you than having 1,000 people that are really ambivalent to your success or your needs. They really don't care. And that the benefit though is if you're able to notice high level individuals and you yourself is a high level individual who holds yourself to a high standard, who's constantly trying to learn, trying to get better, trying to be more and more honest with yourself and your needs, and you've done the work to be the best version of yourself that's reasonably possible, you combine two high level problem solving individuals, and that's a beautiful relationship. These are the relationships that just they stand the test of times, and they create the keys to just beautiful circles. Because people in beautiful relationships, especially in 2024, 2025, they hang out with other people that are in beautiful relationships, and they disqualify individuals that aren't. And I wish that there was another way to preserve these relationships, but still invite everyone else into your circle, but it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. If I'm dealing with another man and he lets me know that he's not in a good relationship and he and his wife or he and his girlfriend are unwilling to do the work, that's going to probably be one of the last conversations I ever have with him, unless we're talking about professional, you know, building or maybe, some way for us to make money or something.
A
But it's
business in a separate area.
yeah, yeah, business. Yeah, thank you. But
Yeah, but
if it ain't business, it's like, no, you can't, you're not going to come over here because this mentality that this person has is diametrically opposed to the mentality you have to work with somebody long term romantically.
you and I have seen it, unfortunately, with some of the people that we used to call friends, sitting in a circle trying to figure out how to help our community, how to help ourselves in business.
Yeah.
And when there were just one or two people who weren't at the base level yet, it became an argument for the sake of philosophy rather than for the sake of improvement and moving forward and application. And unfortunately, that group fell apart. And it's the same thing when it comes to married couples. If you're going to bring three married couples together and the fourth is not happy and doesn't know how to function properly, they're going to be jealous. They're going to be angry. They're not going to know how to contribute and they're going to feel left out. And at the end of the day, everyone is going, why are they here?
Mm-hmm.
So this type of in everyone's lives with all the problems we have, we don't want more dysfunction. And a functional, happy relationship does not want to bring unnecessary risk and harm to the little time that that relationship gets to spend with the people around them.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't make sense.
1000.
And what I want people to realize is as hard as the situation you may be in now, as hard as it is to look at yourself and maybe change a few things or stick to this, we still need to be thinking about relationships long term because if we've got a good thing, humans don't want a good thing to ever end. If we like it and we're having fun, of course we don't want it to end. And anything that is truly good should not end. I feel like that's one of the pure definitions of what it means to be good is that it should never end and it will always be good. And it ending is actually a bad thing. So when we're thinking about our relationships and wanting a good relationship, do we really see this playing out until we die? Because if I have a good relationship, if I have a good friend, I want to be their friend until I die. And so the little things that compound on each other, like constantly diminishing somebody, if we take it 20 or 30 years in the future, is this going to make you stressed and unhappy and regretful of your situation? Or are you looking at somebody who's a multiplier who every interaction you come with them, you feel like you've become a better person? And
1000.
take that to its extreme 20 or 30 years later, that even if you lose everything, you lose your house, you lose your job, you lose your health, is that person going to be beating you down when you're trying your best? Or are they always going to be looking hopeful for what's around the corner and they're going to help you make it?
1000%. And see, that's the kind of, I know we're going to cover this later
Mm-hmm.
when we get more into the movies and, what this looks like, especially in the big screen and how it translates into the real world. But I'm all for this. If somebody says they're really with you and they really care about you, as long as you keep fighting, they should be fighting with you. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to get lumped up because life is difficult. Life is hard. Life could often be summarized as a series of problems and triumphs.
Yep.
If somebody thinks that they're just going to have a bunch of triumphs, I don't know. Are we playing The Sims? Because this isn't the world that I know. But the people around us should be in our corner. And if they're not in our corners, then the question is, why are they in our lives?
Yep. Either they're doing nothing to help you or they're actively working against you if they're not in your corner.
1000%.
Yep.
Do we have another slide or is this?
Nope. That's it.
I'll see you next week. All right, that sounds like a plan, man. It didn't even make it to midnight, so we made pretty good time.
Absolutely.
I think so. Tomorrow, which is today's Sunday, so I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, it feels you don't even know what day it is because every day is works. Like,
It's work, but it's not work. It's constantly improving towards your dreams. That's how I think about it. Sometimes it feels like work, but when you get lost in it and you have a specific purpose, of course you're not going to be keeping track of the days.
well, exactly. It's like my mentor, Paul. Like people think they want to like run a business and have 75 employees and all this stuff. I met Paul when I was, I think, 21. So I'm 36 now. In this entire time period, I have never seen him not work Saturdays. I've never seen him not work at least 6 days a week.
Mm,
Like even when he's on vacation, he's still working. But that's what it takes. That's what it
mm,
takes. Unless somebody is in an industry where they have such a strategic advantage, and that usually only lasts for a small period of time. This
mhm,
is what it takes because there's always somebody out there trying to beat you in business. There's always somebody out there that wants your market share. And he
mm,
told me, he says, I work in the dumpsters, I work in the garbage industry. There's always somebody trying to steal these clients away from me.
mhm.
I, but then I think about it. How many times have I ever not worked a weekend? I, you know what? But then when you think about it, it doesn't feel like work because
I,
I love to write, I love to research, I love to see what's going on, I love to look at criminological theories and modify them. And if I couldn't do that for a week, I would feel so I'll feel incomplete. It's like not going to the gym for 2 weeks. That would be awful.
I think a lot of people experience this mostly in college. I cannot imagine a single day where I did not do homework or study in college.
Mm.
My 6.5 years, not a single day.
See,
Not even in the first week when they're not supposed to assign you homework, they find a way to do it. Like, I'm serious. I might have had like a trip I need to do or see family or a sport that I was involved in. I still had to do like at least 2, 3, 4 hours of work or studying or projects or something during college. Like it when you're taking close to 20 credits or even more as an engineer, there was no time.
y'all are
But
insane.
getting out of that college atmosphere, I think it's hard to keep doing that when you haven't figured out what your passion is.
Mm.
And with so many things that run our lives that are distractions and time consuming, like just driving through an hour of traffic every day to go to work if you go to work and you're not remote.
I,
I mean, people are going to cherish their free time like gold. But I'm not saying that's bad because people do need time to rest. But
1,000.
when it comes to entrepreneurs, their rest is the excitement of finding what they've been looking for, finding that train of thought, that resource that they need to go to the next level, and now they're working on it on a Saturday.
You make a really good point, and just I'm thinking about that. I can't. It's been so long since I had to report to like a job in person.
Yeah.
It's been, you know what I mean, where you have to legitimately deal with traffic, and my heart goes out to people that are in traffic. There are
Yep.
so many studies on how damaging traffic is to our psyches and our bodies.
You have to shut off your brain
Yeah.
for an hour while you hate the fact that you're just sitting in traffic and you can't get home to relax.
What would help me back in the day was Audible because I could put
Yeah.
on a book and I could listen. You basically turn your car into a library. But
Yeah.
so much of people's lives is often spent doing things that they don't want to do,
Yep.
to get to places that they don't want to be at, to be around people that they don't like, to move closer towards a life that they're not proud of.
Yep.
And we wonder why your average person that has a heart attack on Sunday nights or Monday mornings because they're headed to another week of an existence that they're just tacitly a part of, but they're not driving towards. And it hurts. It's so painful, man. Like when I'm dealing with like some of my male clients
Mm.
where like they just cry, man. They cry and they cry their eyes out because this is not what they thought their life was going to look like when they were, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They just, some of them are 40 in their 40s or 50s, even 60s. And they're just like, you know, Coach Terrance, I just thought I was going to be more successful than this. I I, I thought I thought I was going to be able to do more with my life. And to come face to face with the reality of you've spent a lot of your life watching your life instead of living it
Mhm.
is so difficult. It's so difficult. I mean, but I'm so happy that they're eventually going out and getting help. And that's a whole nother thing is that so many people struggle with their life. They struggle with problems. And one of the biggest problems, they're trying to solve it by themselves. And that's a skill set. Listen, even if you're able to solve it, how much time is spent trying to solve a problem by yourself when an expert can break it down for you so much quicker? It's like the person that goes to the gym and doesn't know how to weight lift properly and does this for 2, 3, 4 years when a personal trainer could help them and they could have got better results in 16 weeks.
Mhm. Uh, since I'm in the engineering world, like I can't imagine specific problems where engineers are expected to solve it completely on their own without another resource.
Yeah.
And the people who are usually the experts, PhDs, people who have spent 10 plus years and are considered the expert in that field, or maybe the top in the world. And not even that, but just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you get to go testify in Congress. In order to testify in Congress as an engineer, you've got to take something called the Fundamentals of Engineering exam. Once you pass it, you have to study 5 years under another engineer who has something called a professional engineering certification. Once you do that, then you've got to take your PE certification. And only then are you considered an engineer who can design things that may be dangerous enough to kill or like harm or kill people. And then those are the engineers that they allow to testify in Congress. Like if a power line goes out and somebody dies because of it, that's the engineer who's going to come and say what really happened.
Mm,
And then a lawyer is going to argue on who's really to blame. So
1000%.
me as an engineer, even with a graduate degree, I am going to go to somebody who's more knowledgeable than me in something, not just to get it done right, but so that I don't waste a whole lot of time that's unnecessary. And with things like engineering and certain jobs and education, it's clearly laid out. And my heart goes out to people because relationships and life in general just hasn't been clearly laid out for people,
Mm,
and the resources that exist haven't clearly been laid out. And the resources that might have been clearly laid out, those people might have failed them.
mm. Well,
I had to learn about certain things the hard way because even though my parents might have gotten it right, they didn't know how to teach it to me. And not everyone is a teacher. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you can teach. And what people take for granted is one of the most valuable resources in life is a good teacher, a mentor, a source for information that you know you can trust. In the age of information, the digital age, just because you have access to it doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It requires an extra step of knowing what information you need to listen to, and not even that, where to go. I can access millions of websites, but if I don't know which ones to go to in order to go to the next step of my goals, then it's not going to help me.
one,
So I feel for people who have spent 10, 20, 30 years trying to figure it out on their own. And I mean, don't give up, but realize that whatever resources you've found, never stop trying to find a better resource. Never stop trying to apply it. And once you find a mentor, somebody or something that really gives you real change that you can see in real time, don't let go of it. Don't take it for granted, really.
1000%. Hey, that's, I would say more, but that goes right into this, the conversation we're going to be doing about the event on sociopaths, narcissists, psychopaths, and genuine connections. So we'll go ahead and film that tomorrow. We're starting to cook with gasoline, so we're going to start having a lot of content coming out. We got a lot of stuff to cover. This is what I always wish I would have done when I was working for the government. And I'm just glad I found you, Ryan, because I never would have thought to use social media this way. Because as of right now, my social media presence is essentially nothing. Because when you work for the government,
We're
you don't.
building it. We're
Yeah.
building it.
Oh yeah, we're building it now. But before I was like, man, I don't even. I have an Instagram with not one thing posted. So now we're gonna start, really editing, putting out some good content. We're gonna be putting out at least 2 videos a week, probably a lot more because this is what we do. So we're as long as the interest is there and as long as the support is there, we have no problem doing, over and above and beyond. And especially because I'm not trying to throw shade, but I really went through the Meetup platform, especially going and looking at a lot of the relationship content out there. And I can just tell that there's other voices and there's other information that could be helpful, especially when we're really attacking the information from another outlet. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, man. Let's go to sleep. It's getting late. Take care,
Yeah, next time we're not going to sleep. We're having coffee.
bro. Man. You're not about to have me falling asleep on the floor. I'll see you later, bro. Take care, Ryan.
Peace.
Peace.